Welcome back to Invest Global. Today we're discussing the Robinhood IPO. What exactly went on? I actually first recorded this video yesterday on the train from Prague in Czech Republic to here in Bratislava, Slovakia, but had some issues with the train Wi-Fi. So the video is recorded, but it's not able to actually download. So I'm redoing this here with my setup in Slovakia. So basically what we saw here, the reason that I use this chart here on FTX is you can essentially trade IPOs early, which is quite interesting. In the crypto space, we have IDOs, initial DEX offerings, which I've actually done a full series on all the different launch pads through all the different blockchain networks and going through, how you can access early stage altcoins. Now, if you're interested in accessing a company before they have all this kind of mass adoption and they're listed on the public market for a very, very long time, that's IPOs, right? So initial public offerings allow you to do that. Obviously, some people can get in early before the IPO, and some people can trade it early with synthetic assets on something like FTX. So a comparable to this would be Coinbase stock, right? So Coinbase had their IPO. You can tell right when they had their IPO because it was this massive, massive dump on April 14th. I mean, that candle is massive. Let's just draw this out as far as because I'm honestly thinking about some of these IPOs that are traded as synthetic assets to actually do a short position on FTX. Now you have to be very, very careful with this and know what you're doing, but this is the trend. I mean, we see this. Typically, people overhype something, they overvalue something in the short term, and they really undervalue things in the long term. I think Bill Gates has whether or not you like Bill Gates, that he's kind of a controversial guy. I always like to apply what Abraham Lincoln says, which is learn from everybody, even if it's what not to do. So even if, you don't want to do what Bill Gates does, still try and learn from him. So what he says is, I think we greatly overestimate what we can do in a day or a week, but we greatly underestimate what we can do in a year to 2 years. So this is massively true, right? This kind of the cognitive dissonance that humans have where they kind of favor the short term. They're much more Epicureans versus Stoics, right? So Stoics are much more, they're focusing on long term. Epicureans are just short term pleasure. And you can see this playing out in the markets, right? This is a great example of it with technical analysis, right? So people kind of hype this up, gets hyped up, hype, big dump, right? So then it returns back down to fair valuations. And I talked about this with this Coinbase IPO. I was somewhere in Turkey. I can't remember. I was kind of driving around like southern Turkey near the border of Syria. How basically, I was not going to participate in this because there was many other plays besides the Coinbase IPO that I thought were interesting. And same here with the Robinhood IPO. I did not personally participate in this. You saw essentially once this synthetic asset play hits the FTX market, it got significantly devalued, kind of traded sideways for a bit. And then right here, if we zoom in, by the way, we're on the 1 hour chart here because it just IPO'd 2 days ago. So essentially IPO'd on the 28th. So you can see at the beginning of the 28th, let's just go right here. So this is kind of that waterfall cascading effect. We dipped down here from, what were we at? We kind of middle of the Bollinger Bands at 47, dipped down to that 40 mark, then back up to 44, kind of hitting that mid-range, and then a further cascade down, right? And now we're just kind of moving sideways. So I'm curious what you guys think about the Robinhood IPO. In general, just some very, very basic fundamentals of this company that I like to take into account. Started in 2013, it's really focusing on being a fintech platform that kind of gamifies the stock market. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I kind of more like long-term investments, again, being more of a stoic. I think Robinhood kind of optimizes for Epicureans in a way. Quartz also had a decent article on this, or a little briefing on this. So Robinhood IPO sputtered. Shares of the brokerage app start trading after its public offering valued the company yesterday at $32 billion. They were actually hoping for $35 billion valuations. That was kind of the goal, but obviously it's not going to make it there. I think in the long run, it will probably make it there, to be quite honest with you. This was lower than expectations, clearly, but a couple other things. Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood, was in the limelight when all this Robinhood AMC stuff went on. I was in Kosovo when all this happened. I remember I made a couple of videos on it because it was just fascinating. I wasn't participating in any of this AMC, what do you call it? What was the other one? Drawing a blank on. I just said it. GameStop stock listings. But I mean, it's kind of insane, honestly, what went on there. But basically, in my view, Robinhood kind of showed their true colors here, right? So because when they were put under pressure, they sided with the big guy. They sided with the institutions. They did not side with the little guy. And I think that's the most important thing to understand here is Robinhood maybe kind of behind the times with this a little bit. They allow people to purchase crypto, but the problem that I see again is it's like, okay, people turn 18, maybe they start their Robinhood account, maybe they're, okay, great, they want to get into investing, but they don't understand crypto fundamentally. They don't understand that, hey, if you're buying it through Robinhood, that's not your crypto. There's a massive, massive counterparty risk. You need to own your own keys. You need to have it in your own private wallet, not have it with Coinbase, not have it, on any exchange, especially Robinhood. That's not even a crypto exchange, right? They're focused more on stocks. So that's basically my thoughts on the Robinhood IPO. Maybe we'll cover this a bit more moving forward. I'm curious what you guys think about this. Again, I think potentially that these are some opportunities to do short positions on FTX when these IPOs happen. I mean, this was a pretty massive short position. Same with this, kind of like you could maybe even do a short right up to the day before, because I mean that was a massive, massive downfall. But it all depends on the company, right? It depends on what's going on. I personally think these fintech companies are a bit overvalued overall, especially when I'm looking at emerging market equities currently here in Slovakia and Poland, different places around Europe. A lot of these companies in the US are ridiculously overvalued. So that's basically all for this video. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe button, all. Join the Telegram group, link down below in the description. Let me know in the YouTube comments if you have any questions, any concerns. Join our Twitter at InvestGlobal_IO and Instagram at InvestGlobal_IO. That's all for this one, Invest Global. Until next time.